Hey everyone, this is Sister Nadia with the Repair of the Black Family podcast, Heal on Purpose, with your host, once again, transformational life coach, keynote speaker, master retreat leader, 3 times best-selling author, and many, many more hats, as I can say, right? However, tonight, as your podcast host, I want to ensure you that I am here to help you to eradicate generational trauma, generational drama, limiting beliefs, and self-sabotaging behavior patterns. Each and every time we air these episodes, we are bringing forth guests that can provide excellent solutions. We desire for you that as you listen to this podcast, that you literally sit down and take some notes, because we're going to give you information that you can walk away from this podcast and apply every single moment of your life. And I'm excited because tonight I have this beautiful guest. I mean, she's just beautiful spiritually, she's beautiful mentally, she's beautiful physically. She's just a beautiful soul. And I'm excited because of her gifts, her skills, her talents, her brilliance, right? We're living in a time where intellectual property is real. And so tonight, she's going to share her heart and she's going to share her intellectual property. So I'm going to read my guest bio, but as you pull up on my podcast, I'm going to ask, if you are on Facebook, go ahead and drop me some yellow hearts, because you know that's how Sister Nadia knows that you are vibing with her. So drop me some yellow hearts. And if you are one that really, really support the Repair of the Black Family, trust and believes, those stars, they count. So go ahead and purchase your sister some of those stars, okay? It just shows support and supporting of the movement. If you are watching via YouTube, we ask that you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and share. Make sure you come back to the YouTube channel every single week as we drop these powerful podcasts. And if you are listening on all major podcast platforms, we ask that you also like and subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review if you have the opportunity to. And so without further delay, I'm going to introduce my beautiful guest, who is the founder of Black Majesty. Hold on, y'all. Y'all know Sister Nadia be getting it together with these pictures, but she is the founder of Black Majesty. Her name is Sister Nadia X. She is a holistic Black Majesty. Let me tell you about her business. Black Majesty is a holistic organic herbal tea and herbal infused product line that is used to teach others how to utilize herbs. This is more than just tea and herbs. This is fresh produce. Opportunities to have access to these herbal holistic products, but also their benefits physically, spiritually, and mentally, and how they can be utilized. Whether it's a face mask, and her skin is glowing, y'all. She's popping with this skin, y'all. Let's see what she get on here. Hair mask, oil, tea, shea butter, smudge sticks, or sea moss gel. We want to make health delicious, fun, accessible, and educational. Once again, I want to thank you so very much, and I'm going to bring my beautiful guest on to this stage tonight. Welcome, Sister Nadia. How are you, beautiful? Now, before I brought you in on the screen, I had to tell the listening audience that your face is popping. Okay.
I appreciate it, sis. You sure know how to make somebody feel welcome and loved and appreciated.
Hey, it's all organic, okay? So with that being said, I just want to say, whatever you got popping on your skin, because I was using your stuff once before and I slowed down. So, but however, you don't reactivate it, reignited me just by your popping skin. So with that being said, welcome to the Heal on Purpose podcast. We are super, super, super excited for you today. Now, I read about your business. However, I did not read about you specifically. So why don't you tell my guests and my listening audience who is Sister Nadia and how she shows up in the world?
Yes, thank you so much. And I'm just a reflection of you, sis. Truly, truly. I am, of course, a student, um, more than I would say just a teacher. So I am a self-taught herbalist, but I also am what I consider myself a sister in the community. Like most times y'all hear me say peace and blessings. It's your sis Nadia X times Black Majesty, because I am a sister here in the work. You can find me in the community volunteering in gardens and volunteering with different businesses. I really truly believe that part of who I am, who Allah God created me to be, is to be a servant. So I consider much of who I am to be at the service of people, much like you, repairing the Black family. My goal is to repair all of us and try to do what we can to be at service. So yeah.
Absolutely. And that's really key. Um, when we look at servant, being universal in our ability to serve humanity, right? So my saying is, to repair the Black family is to repair humanity, understanding that everything starts with us. And as I look at you and I think about what you're doing as it relates to service, I look at ancient wisdom, right? So wisdom is not packaged by age, right? Wisdom is packaged by ability, right? In the sense of knowing. And so when I see you, I see wisdom. And I just want to, publicly thank you for keeping our ancestors' energy at the forefront, because this world is, from my viewpoint, and I'm sure my viewpoint is correct because it's in alignment with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and those who have come before us. This world is really corrupted when we're talking about a system that's taking us away from what we know to be healing, what we know to be organic, what we know to be holistic in the degree that our ancestors, practice. And so as I think over that aspect, healing is a journey. It's not a moment.
Mm-hmm.
What let me, because I'm ready to just tap in. That's your energy. But first of all, Sister Nadia, where do you live? Tell the people where you live at.
Yes, ma'am. I live in Memphis, Tennessee. The home of the blues. We're also known for barbecue, but we keep it a plant-based barbecue over here, personally.
Okay.
But yeah, Memphis, Tennessee. We're all right off the river of Mississippi River, y'all. So I'm a Southern girl, truly at heart.
Yes, ma'am. And so, were you born? You were born and raised in Mississippi, correct?
I was born and raised in Memphis. I'm the only girl and baby. People are always shocked because I definitely give older sister energy, but that's a whole nother story. But I'm the only girl and baby in my family. And I'm the oddball in the sense of the first one to graduate college, first one to travel outside of the country, first one to go plant-based, first one to start my own business. So I would definitely say I'm the oddball out of my brothers.
Okay, so how many brothers do you have?
I have 2 older brothers, and I do like to consider one of my god brothers. And of course, as we evolve and families evolve, my mother did get remarried, and I still like to include my step siblings. So technically, I have 3 brothers, a god brother, that's 4 brothers, and then I recently, as of like 2 years ago, had 2 stepsisters. They're no longer married, but I still include them as my family. And although it's a short time, I love them.
Absolutely. Family is not just by blood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Family, we can look at it by culture, by ideas, way of life, those who you connect to energetically. So family comes in many forms and many fashions. Mm-hmm. And so as you being the eyeball girl, you just the first fruit. That's what I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna call you the first fruit because you're the first to do everything that's non-traditional in your family. So congratulations on that, because that's changing a paradigm. When I look at changing a narrative, mm-hmm. What narratives would you say? You pretty much answered it, but specifically that your family was plagued with, that you changed it, and how did that change come about?
Man, Sister Nadia, you're a powerhouse. I'm feeling all this energy you're sending this way, and I'm like, wow, what an honor to be on this podcast and be in your presence. Seriously, amazing question. So, yeah, with the new and the first one to do a lot of things, a lot of the energy I feel like I definitely was almost tasked with um by a lot God to change the narrative is like I really truly believe I'm here to heal generational traumas and curses, of self-doubt, of limiting beliefs, of poverty mindset.
Hmm.
um you know, I don't necessarily believe everyone should go to school, or school is every necessarily like the traditional university route is for everybody, and I respect that that isn't the case for everybody. But I will say, um, by me learning to discipline myself in my
Mm.
studies has not only taken me to the point where I have two bachelor degrees, but it's taken me to the point where I feel like once you learn to discipline yourself, you also are killing another generational curse that tells us that, you know, discipline is a bad word. And I've learned to show that in so many areas of my life because it was not easy being a first gen student, a double major, a scholar, you know, starting a business. None of that was easy. And it took a lot of, you know, me self correcting. And I will say, as you know, when you start a business or when you're facing breaking generational curses, whether you're aware of it or not, a lot of traumas may come up and they're not even necessarily your traumas. Like,
Correct.
but like they're a generational thing that you may be dealing with. And, you know, it may be that you are the vessel that is supposed to deal with that energy, release that energy, and walk into new energy. And so I feel like that's definitely been my journey. And I've had to learn how to self-validate. I feel like the most
Mm.
powerful thing that, and I will only say, you know, humbly, it's a lesson that I've only just now feel as though I really learned to be mastering, because I feel like we're always continuously mastering, right? But I feel like only now have I really learned to be the epitome of mastering self-validation, because it's so many levels to it. But, you know, learning to decide what is my destiny, my journey, my calling. Do I have what it takes to fight through my own self-doubt, other
Mm.
people's self-doubt, other people's judgments? Because we weigh and carry all of that on ourselves. You know, am I pleasing this person? Am I fitting this image? Am I living up to what people expect of me? And even the expectations you may have of yourself, where do they come from? Where did they stem from? And I've had to really do a lot of work to get where I am now, to realize what is actually me versus what is like other things that was put on me, you know?
Oh, that is so powerful. You know, the power of identification and differentiation, you know, and in that, understanding your worth. And guess what? Sister Nadia, it's like this. And for anybody that's listening, I want you to try this exercise. Look in the mirror and say, guess what? I'm worth it.
Period. I'm worth it. Yep.
I'm worth this. I'm worth this journey. And it's
Mm-hmm.
okay. And I'm safe in my journey, right? You know, so
Mm-hmm.
being able, that's where that self-validation comes
Mm-hmm.
in. Being
Mm-hmm.
able to validate right where I am, right where I am, God is, and I am.
That's
I
beautiful.
am. And anything that comes after that, we become. So I understand self-validation. And in the culture that we have come up in, you know, for those who are, and I hope nobody take this offensively, but limited in their understanding, thinking that you think you all that, or you know, you're doing too much, or whatever. When we start giving ourselves credit,
Mm-hmm.
you understand?
Mm-hmm.
People really feel like that's being arrogant when
Mm-hmm.
you have that confidence or
Mm.
confidence, you
Yeah.
know. And so, thank you for sharing that, because that is very key,
Mm.
especially when you're trying to break through barriers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Knowing
I
your
love.
worth.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I love what you said when you were talking about the how people view self validation or confidence as arrogance. And I really feel like another thing that really I had to learn and has really empowered me in my journey is learning the difference between humility,
Yes.
low self-esteem, and
Mm.
learning the difference between arrogance and confidence,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So a lot of people, we mistake, and I used to mistake low self-esteem as being humble. Having low self-esteem, self-doubting, putting yourself down, talking bad about yourself, negative self-talk, allowing other people to project that energy on yourself as well, that's low self-esteem. That is not of God. That is not going to get you to your next level. And that is disrespectful to the creator to the creation that you are, that the creator made you. He made you powerful. He made you amazing, right? But humility is actually being able to say, I'm not necessarily putting myself on a high horse where I don't belong, but I respect that there's more for me to learn, more for me to grow, and I'm able to be a student. Humility is being able to be a student even when you're top dog, right? Even if you got all A's, you're top dog in your craft, you know, you're known around the world, whatever have you. Humility is to know that I still, no matter how young someone is, no matter how untitled someone is, I can still listen and learn from them and walking in that light versus, you know, having low self-esteem. And I see that a lot of us who may struggle with areas of low self-esteem, we often project pride and arrogance, you know, versus confidence. Because I self-correct all the time. Anytime we have feelings of like, we may think that I'm not good enough, right? Sometimes those feelings will project into, well, who does she think she is? And when that energy is there, right, that's a moment for us not to point fingers and talk about how someone comes off arrogance or talk about what they got going on. That's a moment to look within and be like, why am I triggered? Why am I doubting myself? And why do I feel the need to talk bad about someone who's putting the work in, right? And so that's a time to self-correct. And then when you're able to do that, you say, well, my worth isn't always about my accolades. My work is that God created me to be here and to do this mission. And as long as I walk in humility, I will always be elevating to my higher self. So I definitely want to talk. That's something I also have had to walk into and learn and, you know, emulate, and also just be the epitome of, so that wherever I go, that's the energy I carry. Because sometimes people aren't aware of that, and they don't know that that's a time to self-correct and how to be better until they meet someone like you, and you walk in the room and you're confident within yourself, but you're also humble, you know? And sometimes people don't meet people like that.
Absolutely. And thank you. As you were speaking, I was thinking about how you started off with saying about discipline. See, in the word discipline is the word disciple, and being a disciple of your own policies, of your own protocols, right? I'm following that which I'm saying. I'm following that which you understand. Like I'm a disciple in my walk. You understand, which is gonna help me to understand this. Write this down if y'all are listening. Peace, be still, and know that I am God. That's not just the supreme being. That means that you are a little, to me, you are a little God, right? And in my godhood, I'm being a disciple. And that's going to take discipline. So now I emulate the energy of a God, right? I am the epitome. I'm mastering my own self-worth. I'm mastering my own skills and harnessing in. And guess what? I can share my energy with you.
There's enough light to go around. Ain't no competition, only collaboration.
Exactly. So let your light shine. You understand? And then I have enough light that I can shine it with you. And I'm humble in my ability to shine my light. But that, again, that does take a lot of work. Because we're living in a society, and I want you to talk on this, Sister Nadia, where people feel like they got to compete and compare. Right? You find it very prevalent amongst women, even in families, right?
Woo, we getting into it that deep now, Miss.
Yes,
let me
ma'am.
sip my tea. We talking about
we repair the Black family, right? Because it starts with us and then it spread abroad. So we find it in families, we find it in tribes and communities, right? And it's not just limited to women, but being that we're Black women, we want to talk about what we see in the Black woman, where we can actually crush these egotistical ways about us and really, you know, tap into that divine feminine energy, because we don't compete and compare, we collaborate, we celebrate, right?
Celebrate and we collaborate. Yes,
absolutely.
You're an example of that.
Praise be to Allah. So I would like for you to talk on, being able to identify, or have you ever identified with the compete and compare, and have you been a product of it or a victim of it, and how did you maneuver through that?
Yes. First off, I want to take a moment, and as I do, I want to give you your flowers, Sister Naira, continuously, forever. And respectfully, I want to give you title Queen Mother because I consider you a mother in this. Like, we maneuver in our own ways, but literally the way that I found out about you and met you was as someone who had poured into multiple women and helped them reach their higher selves. Mm-hmm. And you're an example of collaboration and celebrating. On this podcast, you celebrate so many people. That takes humility. You're always about collaboration, because on a podcast, it's also about collaborating. We're collaborating right now, coming from two different perspectives, but we're doing similar work, and that our goal is to help the Black family, to help people heal, to help people be their best selves, because we understand self-improvement is the basis of community development. We understand the teachings and try to strive to live that out in multiple disciplines and manners. So I definitely want to give you your flowers and thank you for that, because as a young woman in this, I started my business officially 4 years ago at the age of 20, while I was a full-time double major in college. And not growing up in Memphis, Tennessee, my personal perspective is not seeing a lot of women who look like me doing anything like myself. But when I tapped in online, you were definitely one of the women who was doing the work in terms of combining one of my majors, or two of my majors rather, which is psychology and social work. Because what you're doing is coming from the perspective of the mind, healing the mind, and also social work. So I definitely want to give you your flowers in that, because as we talk about even the conversation of how people think, and view relationships with one another in a competitive manner, we understand that as a psychological problem that we need to address within ourselves, because at the root of it is somewhere we don't feel like, at the root of it, there is harm to our root chakra. If y'all be getting into the chakra, we want to get into the chakra. Where we don't feel like there's enough, right? We feel like, because when we come from a perspective of competition, at the root of that, we don't believe there's enough resources. We don't believe that we have what it takes. We feel like we're in scarcity, poverty mindset. So we have our hands closed and we're like, no, this is all for me. There's not enough room. And a healed version of ourselves is that, oh, baby, there's enough light for everybody. So I don't mind passing the mic over to you. I don't mind the spotlight shining on you. Matter of fact, I'm going to build the spotlight on you and hype my sister up, because I don't feel that it takes anything away from me. And as, and let me sip my tea now. I'm drinking my goji berry. Okay. I'm going to get into something now.
Okay, let's sip this tea over here. This is a tea party, y'all.
Yep. So, and I say this respectfully, but I want to talk about something that I know we hide in the Black family as Black women. And I know it doesn't just, only affect us, but as Black women, I want to speak on this in our community and our families. When we talk about this wound of competition and comparison, a lot of us, this started in the homes. It started, unfortunately, and I'm getting a little emotional, but it starts, unfortunately, sometimes we learn this mindset from our mothers, our sisters, our aunts, and we experience what it's like to be pit against one another, whether it's an example of colorism, whether it's an example of weight and body shaming, whatever perspective or whatever starts it. Unfortunately, a lot of us, we learn to distrust women. We learn to disrespect women as women. And we learn the competitive mindset because of the environment we experience in our home, whether we acknowledge it or understand to put it in those terms or not. That is why a lot of us struggle with the idea of there's enough light and there's enough food to eat for my sister, right? And it's not only just from the perspective that we struggle with that with women, but also men. Sometimes men will show favoritism in the homes you know, sometimes they will treat somebody better and therefore make someone have low self-esteem and suffer with that. And I myself, you know, I love my family, you know, and we continue to grow and heal together and separately. But unfortunately, I had to learn. I went into psychology because of my experience growing up. I wanted to understand. I knew somewhat about some of the things I was experiencing, and I wanted to understand, how do I verbalize that this is an issue so that we can't even address the issue if we don't know how to explain what the issue is. So that's how I got into psychology. It's because of my experience with that. Growing up a certain way, being treated a certain way as a darker skinned person, as you know, sometimes when there's not a lot of women in the family, the few women it is, it becomes a scarcity mindset battle. And we see that play a problem, not just, you know, in that way, but also then we see it play out further out in our communities, because when it comes to collaborating and needing to build, then we have an issue of like people doing each other wrong, you know, and cutting the legs out from under them because we're coming from a competitive perspective.
Absolutely. Or won't even join in on the party because of that. You know, we sit and watch from afar and condemn or try to out create, you know, that person. And as you were speaking, you know, historically, I keep my tools like right by me all the time, right? Yeah. This book, with me joining the Nation of Islam, I had never read or knew anything about the methodology of Willie Lynch, right? Some people say, oh, well, that really didn't happen. Well, let's just look at the products of what we see. Okay, whether it happened or not, we see a system in place that identifies with this letter. So I just wanted to put that out there as a disclaimer for those who say it didn't happen. But when I look at everything that you talked about, is in here, and we've seen it dramatized in modern times, and we understand that these mental images or mental thoughts, because thought is only energy, right? It has intelligence, right? But it's at a cellular level. This is all at a state. So when you're talking about healing, and we're going to get into detoxing and all of these things, how do we heal at a cellular level so that we can literally release these things and really identify, differentiate? Like you said, all of that is not me. You understand? So when you're a healer and you're looking at people that's healing, you got to go past the fault to meet the need, right? And as a healer, I got to see, okay, yeah, I see all of this crap coming out, but I want to reach the God in you. You understand? And how do I reach the God in you? I have come to understand that love is the key. The more deeper I love, and I'm gonna ask the question for those of us that's listening, write this in the comments. How deep is your love? And how deep do you love yourself? Because we cannot project or invite people into the space of love if we do not love ourselves deep enough. We are people that it demonstrates self-hatred. And it's going to take these three things as foundation: knowledge of self, knowledge of God, and knowledge of the enemy out, but the bigger enemy
within.
Right? And the time and what must be done, because what you used to do back in the day may not be working in 2024. So as a healer, Nadia, and thank you. I mean, you said, wait, I just want to make sure. How old are you again? Let me say that one more time for the audience, for those who didn't hear.
I just turned 25.
She's 25, y'all. Okay. So wisdom does not come in these so-called numbers. Okay. Wisdom is the ability. How much do you know? Not what you think, not what you feel, but it's a knowingness that you can actually demonstrate. And so as a healer and getting into, you know, helping others to heal, how did you move into herbalism?
Yes. And look, y'all, I'm taking notes too, so I hope y'all taking notes, because she be dropping diamonds. All right. But yeah, so I got into herbalism because it was like a journey. Like I said, like I started with psychology and social work, and I was always interested in the knowledge of self and understanding self, because I feel like most of the problems we see in today is people who are not self-aware, right? So that started there, the inner work, and then I had an epiphany while I was drinking herbal tea one day, that really dawned on me to understand levels of inner work. Because I was like, okay, I'm working on my emotional and mental health, but I still am struggling with these physical ailments. At the time, I was struggling with chronic eczema that I suffered with for years all over my body, including in my scalp. On top of that, I was struggling with anemia, which is low iron deficiency. A lot of us suffer with and deal with, or are prone to. And it was affecting my hair growth. I was experiencing a lot of hair breakage. And lastly, I was dealing with IBS, constant chronic bloating. I normalized like extreme bloating and extreme dietary issues at a young age. So around the time of high school, late high school, to be transparent and vulnerable, I went to an all-white private school. I went to public school all my life, mostly mixed or Black, but my last 3 years of education was in an all-white Christian private school. And it was like very stark differences that made me feel insecure. And it brought up some issues that I felt like were not just from me, but also ancestrally generational issues of self-hatred and low self-esteem. And I came in, I had to deal face to face with myself. And I realized I can continue doing the work of studying the mind so I can, view myself in a better light. But I also can put in the work and learn how plants, how my diet, how herbs can help me heal these issues, right? You love yourself as you are at the moment right now. You need to love yourself at all points, at all times, and respect yourself. But you can also continue to learn how to heal and better certain things about yourself. And I wanted to heal my skin. I wanted to grow my hair. I didn't want to believe these self-hating, false thoughts that Black women can't grow long hair, or Black women, skin is whatever, or whatever I personally dealt with. So I got into herbalism. I started studying at 15. And then by college, when I had my own little space, I immediately started experimenting, creating my own teas and hair and skin. And Black Majesty originally started as skin and hair company, right? Because my issues were skin and hair. So I started making shea butters and hair growth oils. And teas were such like a latter thing. So it's very funny now that I'm mostly known for my teas here locally in Memphis because I'm in a few tea shops. But my entire existence always started with skin and hair health. The integumentary system is where my heart is. So that's how I got into herbalism. Like most of us, when we find our mission, sometimes we feel lost and we're unhappy, and we are, that jealous spirit, that comparative energy, that also can sometimes come from us not knowing ourselves, and us not knowing our mission and our purpose in life. But oftentimes you start with a problem. What bothers you? What eats at your soul? That bothered me. Black women specifically having self-limiting, self-hatred thoughts, me as a dark-skinned Black woman in the South, and that was my ick, right? And that ick helped me find my passion, was healing through plants. And now I'm down a rabbit hole of nutrition and detoxification, but that's where it originally started.
Wow. Such a power story. And so as we look at, well, first of all, before we get into this detox, I want to know, when it comes to the skin, what is the most thing that Black women have as it relates to skin health, skin and hair health? What is the most things that you see us suffer with, and what do you recommend from your product line that we do?
Yeah, so I see more common than anything eczema, so or another word for it that people will get diagnosed by the doctor is like rosacea or psoriasis. Secondly is anemia. A lot of us have iron issues and we're unaware, and your iron affects your skin and your hair health. So a lot of us don't understand that we may be prone to low porosity, which just means that our skin and hair, either high porosity or low porosity. So that just means that the pores on your hair shafts are usually too open, which means that your hair is quick to absorb things, but it's quick to go dry, right? So like you put anything in your hair and it's gonna go in, but it's quick to go dry. That's high porosity. Same with skin, right? And then rather low porosity is the opposite, is that, and that's what I have. Low porosity is it's harder to get things in your pores, skin and hair. And so there's a need for a few steps in learning how to do the, what is it called? The lock method. LOL, shout out to the sister locks. But the
Hey,
lock method,
yeah.
looking beautiful, all natural. The lock method is liquid, oil, and cream, and you need to figure out a version of that for yourself. So I make and create a scrub. I always scrub. I always do Black Majesty salts or sugar scrubs. You need to exfoliate dead skin for the skin. Secondly, is my hair and skin masks are the same, is similar, right? So for face, well, that's for body, but I'm not going to necessarily always say you need to scrub your face. It just depends if you have open wounds or open scars. But a face mask and a hair mask will lightly exfoliate gently to like not mess up your skin, right? So the hair mask exfoliates your scalp, and then the face mask exfoliates your skin gently, but it also helps to open up the pores, which is what we need. Is like we need to open them up and pull out the gunk. A lot of detoxifiers are in these exfoliants that I'm talking about, the scrubs, the sugars, the hair mask and the face mask. They detoxify while also opening and cleansing. And that's the second step we need, is like after we exfoliate and get the dead skin and open things up, we need to clean the gunk out. Okay. And then after that, we are now needing to do a method, whether it's, and you have to figure out for yourself, depending on your porosity, is it LCO or is it LOC, which is liquid, oil, and cream, or liquid, cream, and oil. It's always going to be liquid first, preferably a water-based substance. Like all my toners, they're super easy to make. You make them just like tea. I use those before I put my makeup on. After I set my makeup, I put it in my hair, my scalp. Sometimes I spray it over my body if I got the time and date. And liquid first is what's going to hydrate, and you want to get the goodness. So it's herbal infusion, hydrosols into the pores now. And now you're working on closing it to where it stays. So that's where the cream and oil comes in. Now, me personally, I'm an oily girl because I have low porosity. I'm dry skin prone. So for me, I like to do liquid, the herbal toner all over my body and hair. And then I like to solidify with my shea butter, which is like literally what I have on my face. I put it on twice a day because it's also herbal infused, and because of the porosity levels of the different butters, I feel like it meets the requirement for the cream. But you can also put a cream in there like a lotion or a hair lotion, but you have to test out what works for you in terms of that. And that, when you put oil on after, it actually holds all of the goodness that you just put in, right? So there's a process of removal, and like that goes back to the need for detoxification. Something has to go before you put in some goodness. You got to cut some things off. Cut off the dead skin, take out the gunk, the oil, the blackheads, move that out before you actually put on some goodness so your skin actually absorbs it. Same way, like in the system, it all works the same. We're talking about the integumentary system outside. It works the exact same way inside. And so that's what I recommend. That's what I use. I swear by it. I've been using it for the last 7-8 years since I started making my own products, and I swear by it. So now I've gone from being bullied and judged for my terrible eczema to now compliments, and that is only Allah God giving me those ideas and me putting in the work to learn and create those products.
Being a disciple of your own ideas. Now, y'all, listen, I just want to say this for disclosure and disclaimers. I'm not a doctor. We're not doctors over here. Okay.
Big fact. Big
We're
fact.
not doctors over here, so you do have to keep seeking your medical advice. Or however, we are promoting her business, and this is what she does in her business. And definitely, and you have piqued my interest, and I know that you teach classes, and we'll get into that as well. And you talked a lot about detox, and I want to get into the herbal detox, but what is your viewpoint when it comes to detoxing spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically? How does that affect the physical, even as it relates to people? I believe in holistic detoxing. Give us your viewpoint on that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the same way. I believe in holistic detoxing, and you have to understand detoxification is necessary. We imitate nature. The best of us, if we continue to imitate nature, then we're in alignment, right? So nature detoxes. When our plants are growing new leaves, sometimes the leaf is going to die, and you need to cut it off because you never want to keep dead energy around. And in the same way, for me to grow into the person, business wise, even in school, you can love people from a distance, and you can love habits from a distance. Okay. Sometimes, when you stop doing something, it's not from the perspective of, ew, gross, I hate that. Like, no, you know that if you wanted to get to the next level, and you know that you needed to focus, it wasn't good for your body, you were having X, Y, and Z issues, you learn how to cut things off and remove them. And that's the same way in nature, and that's the same way in every aspect, internally and externally. So, unfortunately, there are friends, there are groups, organizations, there are old habits that I have had that maybe at one point in time served me well and taught me something and poured into me. And you can look on that fondly and respect that and never speak ill of it because it had its time and place. But you have to know what season you're in and what season you're trying to get to. And so the same way for detoxification, like, I do not believe in a food cultist perspective, even though I'm plant-based. So I haven't had meat or dairy in probably almost 4 years, it'll be 4 years in April. So that's a personal decision for a lot of reasons, but I don't necessarily teach or believe that for everybody. What I believe is giving your liver and your intestines a break. What I believe is, a time and place for everything. And these times right now, as we're taught in the teachings, as we're taught, a lot of us, if you are in the nation and you understand that, and even if you're just watching the news, right, it's evident now what's going on is there's a lot of toxins and poisons being put into the animals, the livestock industry. It's destroying our ecosystem. There's nothing that causes more greenhouse gases, aka destroying the ozone layer, aka throwing off the balance of nature, than the meat industry, right? And so everything that is emulating and also how they kill animals, that is not halal. So when we look at that, we have to say, okay, there's a time and a place. And so we need to take a step back. We need to take several steps back and several seats, because there are toxins and poisons and antibiotics being put into all of these dairy and meat. And my only job is to facilitate healing, right? I don't heal. I'm not a doctor. I don't get paid to prescribe you medicine and keep you sick. So my perspective is coming from hey, I just want to teach you something and you do what you will with it, for you and your body, right? And that's the perspective we come from. We as healers, we're not trying to be on a soapbox and pretend like we're holier than thou. We're on a mission from Allah God. We're on a mission from our destiny, from our ancestors, to help us heal and to help us live quality of life. Because some of us are living, but it's not high quality, right? So I really truly believe that if you're trying to reach goals, whether it's hair goals, skin goals, weight goals, if it's business goals, financial tax bracket goals, whatever, there's going to be a time and place. It's give and take. Something has to die for something new to live. So what is it that you're willing to sacrifice? And if we're not willing to sacrifice going meatless Mondays sometimes, and I'm not pushing down vegan products because I'm not a vegan product gal. Okay. Right. I'm not telling you go eat a Beyond Burger because that's just as bad as McDonald's in my opinion. Okay. I'm telling you to eat whole foods, whole grains like quinoa, rice, sometimes mostly vegetables and fruits though, and find different ways to get those minerals and vitamins in your diet, juices, smoothies, fun meals. And I do believe in creativity and making things herbal infused. The picture she showed of me was an herbal infused, plant-based, gluten-free tea muffins. They're banana bread muffins infused with chamomile, lavender, honeysuckle. They're one of the things I sell, right? And they're gluten-free, they're dairy-free, but they're not processed in a bag. They're handmade, they're homemade. And that's what I'm encouraging is go home and cook, grow your own food, partner with local farmers and gardeners to get the best high quality nutritional value. And don't be afraid to go meatless a few days. go dairyless a few days to give your body a break, because that over time creates mucus that hardens and causes fibroids, build up in the arteries, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't teach a never eat burger, never eat ice cream type of perspective. I'm saying slow your roll. Take a break.
Slow your roll, y'all. Hold on. Stop right now. Put that in the comments. Slow your roll, because you got to give and take. Okay, continue on.
Back. So that's where we're coming from. And you know, Sister Nadia has her own detox products, right? There's different ways that you can detox, but never come from a perspective of like, I've been eating this way for 20 years, so I'm a detox for 2 days and I'm gonna fix all my problems. That's not realistic.
Girl, you better preach and let me be quiet and be the student over here, because you know.
You know, that's not realistic. If you've been eating a certain way for 20 years, and like me, for example, unfortunately, I'm the last out of all my siblings, so I was not breastfed. So I have to keep that in perspective. We are not born with a clean slate in our genetic makeup and our diet. So even though you think, oh well, you know, yada yada, baby food, whatever. No, like, you are born, your diet and your genetic makeup for diseases or illnesses is based off of, one, your parents' diet, what they were eating heavily affects your entire genetic makeup. That's how people come into the world already with illnesses and issues, right? Asthma, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. But also you have to keep in consideration growing up eating processed frozen meals, growing up eating canned foods, growing up eating formulas made of chemicals, you know, knowing that my brain didn't necessarily get those breastfed, beautiful ingredients and nutrients. So I know that I'm not born on a clean slate. I don't have a clean slate dietary wise. So I was prone to eczema, anemia, low iron, even at a very young age. And so when we come from that perspective, then we understand I got to detox because I'm 25 and I've had 25 years of toxins from the water, all of those foods and things I mentioned, toxin from what they're spraying in the air. Believe it or not, baby, them clouds don't be real. So not to get conspiracy, but I'm just trying to be real with you.
Right,
okay? There's a lot of toxins coming your way, and this is not to scare you or make you feel like. Another problem is when we go, well, everything gonna kill me, I don't care no more. That's a problem.
That's a problem. It's a mindset.
That's a problem.
That's a toxic thought.
That's a toxic thought that derives from your toxic food, that derives from your toxic environment. So if we become numb and we don't care, like everything is going to cause cancer, everyone is going to kill me, that is a problem, and we need to address that. Because if you are in toxic and scarcity mindset, then you believe that there's no point, that there's no reason. You know, we're not preaching perfection. I'm preaching progression. Every time you find out something and you learn something new, you write it down and you slowly try to make it a goal of yours to slowly take something out and add something in, right? I truly don't believe in clean out your fridge more than add stuff to your fridge. Before we get to taking things out of your diet, add things into your diet, because then you'll see what makes you feel good, what makes you look good. You know what I mean? So add more fruits. You got a favorite fruit? Go buy 20 of them. Put them in your fridge. That's the perspective I come from in detoxification. It is not a cultist, all or nothing perfectionist mindset. It is make an effort on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis to eventually cut out toxins, people included, and change your life to be the best version of yourself.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. Listen, y'all have been having a tea party. We having a tea party with Black Majesty. And just rounding up to my last question, and then we'll go into how I close out my show. Yes, my last question to you is, how does business, like you being 25, you know, going through your whole healing journey and becoming self-taught and being an herbalist, how is it for you in business in maintaining your life as a business owner?
Yeah. What you're asking me, how is it that I maintain?
Yeah, like how do you maintain your spiritual life, your social life?
Yeah.
Girl, you got a business.
Yeah, like you said, literally, I loved what you said. I was like, I have to write that down. I'm a disciple of what I teach. So I I really, once again, I do not believe in like all or nothing, even though I do have all or nothing personality.
Right.
I don't believe all or nothing in the sense of like, you know, I try to balance out.
Mm.
I teach people, but I have to practice. And the second where I'm like, okay, I'm giving so much that I'm off my own regimen, I'm off my own goals, then I have to take a step back. And once again, I don't move in scarcity, poverty mindset. So I don't believe that I'm going to lose something that I'm not going to get back, or it's going to really cost me and put me in a bad place if I take a step back to realign myself. So I make sure that I live on a regimen. I usually get up at early in the morning, like 5, 6 a.m. And I start my day and I make sure that I'm on a regimen. Do I detox every day? No. Should you detox every day? I don't really believe so. Right. So at this moment, in my point in time, I'm detoxing. So I am on a detox schedule. So at 5 a.m., I am doing my detoxing. I'm doing my affirmations. I'm journaling. I'm praying. And I'm setting the space. And then I set out time to clean, work for a few hours, and then make dinner. And I make sure I calm my nervous system 2 hours before I go to bed. I'm trying to get offline. There's a schedule that you need to figure out that's realistic for what you have going on and live by that. And if you feel like success and your goals and the things you have going on is taken away from you doing what you need to do to be the best version of yourself, then we have to reassess. Because another thing is, like, when you're detoxing, a lot of things come up. And life doesn't stop when you detox. People still need you. You still got to go to work, et cetera, et cetera. So you have to be disciplined in setting a schedule that's real for you. And that includes something I also want to say is like, sometimes the people we love get the short end of us. And that is the saddest part. It is so, 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 so sad.
Girl,
And
you
it's
better
something
speak.
that Allah God is really working on your girl about. And I'm being intentional to make sure that I'm not giving everybody out here who doesn't see me on a daily basis 100, and then I come home with a bad attitude and too tired to pour into the people I'm blessed with, right? Partners, loved ones, family, So if I have time to work and make schedules and make appointments, then I have to make sure I'm just as intentional putting on my schedule, call my grandma, pull up on my dad, have lunch with my siblings, call them, and be intentional. I can't be one person to everybody else and then I have a bad attitude and I don't have time to talk to the people I love. And that's part of detoxing, is realizing I have a bad habit. I'm giving the loved ones the short end of the stick, and the people closest to us, we shouldn't be abusing and taking them for granted. So at this time, I have a detox program going on, and I take myself through my own program. So we don't officially start until April 19th, but I am on a more intensified version of my detox, because I definitely believe that detoxification can bring up a lot of emotions and different things. And so that I can be intentional with people, yes, that's the Herbify course. We're offering 7 to 10 different tea blends. I'm offering a lung detox, yoni steams, recipes for meal preps, teas, and juices. I'm doing 8 group calls, a foraging crash course. No matter where you are, these are all offered online. Everything's offered online, so anywhere everybody pulls up, you can be there. They're going to be recorded, so even if you can't make it for whatever reason, it will be recorded. You can go back and watch it. We're going to have fun homework. We're going to do cooking classes. This is very interactive, and so I only have a few spots so that I can be intentional and not. I want to be able to do one-on-one. We're also doing 2 one-on-one calls per person. And so that I can be intentional, I'm only taking 11 people max for this cohort. There'll be another one eventually. But for this cohort, I only want to do 11 people. So we're already halfway at capacity, but I'm looking for people who don't just want to detox and cleanse to lose weight necessarily, but people who want to learn how to utilize herbs to address illnesses and sicknesses that may come up, who want to learn how to find what naturally grows in their area so that in times of emergency, or if you just want to cook something natural that naturally grows, you know how to forage and find foods. And so I'm very excited for that. And I'm taking myself through it right now. Like, I'm drinking a root chakra. It's red. It's a combination of my goji berry tea along with some other plants. That's really good for stabilizing the root chakra, right? And so we're going to be talking about how chakras play a role scientifically in the different systems of the body, and how herbs can be partnered with to heal certain things within ourselves. But at the end of the day, like I said, I'm not a doctor or dietitian, right? So this is coming from a perspective of someone who's been studying over a decade and who lives out these methods and tools. And my goal is to facilitate you removing toxins, learning to change your mindset and perspective, and to take away information that you will have for a lifetime, that you will always be able to go back to, that you will always have access to, that is so important in times of need and just for a good time. It's going to be delicious and fun. We're a vibe, just like how you see me and Sister Nadia vibe. It's going to be a vibe.
Yeah, good.
So yeah, I'm very excited.
I'm really encouraging people to, you know, take a moment and invest in themselves. You know, as a coach, and a mentor, you know, I truly believe that people need to invest in themselves. And that's abundance, right? When you can actually take, you know, invest in your time, invest in your energy, but invest in your intellectual property.
Yeah. And you're an example of that. Sister Nadia is one of the only people in the nation to be cleared. That is an investment. That is an investment of time, energy, money, and more. And you can't move in poverty mindset and be like, oh, well, I want to be healed. I want to be healed. And then you're not willing to put the money and time and energy in. Or I want to know this X, Y, and Z. She put the time and money and energy in, knowing and believing it's going to come back to her tenfold. And she walked in that faith and that energy. And that is a testament to how we should move and being willing to move. Do you believe that it's going to come back to you or not? Do you believe that it's worth it or not? And she's an example of that. I believe I'm an example of that in my own way. And you want to be an example of that, not just for you, but your community and generationally. So
absolutely. And just let me make one correction. I'm not the only person that's clear in the nation.
Oh yeah.
Baby. Now let me clarify that. I am
you are one of, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And there's only a few, right?
It's only a few, absolutely. Facts. So facts on that.
Take your flowers.
Okay. Let me take them, okay, gracefully. However, what I will say, as you know, when I look at the process of clearing, right? Because you put it there, so let's just go ahead and address that. Yes, I don't have what they call a reactive mind. Okay, I don't have that. I have the ability to respond, right? And what I'm responding to now is the majesty of Allah, majesty of Allah in you. You understand? And I have the ability to clear away anything that would stop not just me from growth, but anyone in my sphere from growth. And so I'm saying this as one on this podcast, Heal on Purpose, wherever you are on the globe, because this is not just a Nation of Islam thing. This is like globally, okay? Anywhere on the globe that you are listening to this podcast, it's worth it to invest in yourself with our sister, to invest your time, your energy, and especially for the woman. Because we're the first teachers, we're the first doctors, we're the first nurses, so the teachers of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, which is universal, right? And we got to go back to our roots. People get afraid when you say the word roots, okay? Get to the herbs, get back in your garden, go to the bush, become medicine men and women, okay? And don't be afraid. That's magic, okay? That's real magic. When you could go and take something from the tree and put it in a cup, put it in a cream, and experience the healing. Ain't nothing spooky over here.
Period.
So I'm saying that to say this. Thank you, because you have blessed me just listening to you. You know, and I gotta tap in with you because there's some things that I'm dealing with my hormones, girl. Like, you know, I don't even go with age. I'm just in that space, and you know, a lot of things that the doctors want me to do, I'm not doing that. You understand? So I just gotta keep. Like, I'm a doctor. I'm a spiritual doctor.
Yes, ma'am.
At all times, okay? Yes, when it comes to me. And I'm going to find that one thing.
Yep.
You know, and I just keep looking. They say, look and you shall what? Find. Ask, okay. Oh, there you go. Okay. Ask and you shall receive. So with that being said, I know every person that comes on have something that's getting me closer to the goal. And as I was listening to you today, because women, we suffer with, you know, well, we have these issues with hormones and we got to deal with that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So when it comes to, and this, I was going to close it out, but this popped into my mind. So I want to ask a question. When it
Spit me.
comes to fasting and herbs, how does that
Mm. Yeah, so I love fasting, and that's a really good question. And there's a way to incorporate herbs around a fast, during a fast, after a fast, before a fast. So it depends on what type of fast. For example, as some of you may not know, but the Nation of Islam strives to fast the first 3 days in a weekend of the year. So like whatever the weekend falls on, right? I'm trying to make sure I explain this right. Whatever the weekend falls on, right? So those type of fasts, if you're doing a fast of that sort where the goal is to not eat anything, but you may be able to drink things such as water or a coffee, right? I allow myself to do tea because personally, because the way my brain is set up, I cannot drink coffee. It has ill effects on my brain. So I do tea. So you can infuse and you can do an herbal tea to address whatever you're specifically working to look at. For example, when we're talking, since we mentioned hormones, a few amazing herbs that I like to do. Now it does depend on what specifically hormonal, but in generally, three herbs that I really like to do in general that really assist with hormones are red clover,
Mm,
stinging nettle,
mm-hmm.
hibiscus, and another thing I'm going to throw in because it's one of my literal favorite herbs on the world is goji berries, right?
Love
And
them.
so, yes, so you can create a tea and avoid sugar, right? And do a hot tea, preferably hot because it helps your body absorb it quicker and get in your bloodstream quicker. And do that while you're fasting, as long as you can have liquids. Now, if you're on a fast where you're trying to do absolutely like Ramadan is coming up, or if you're doing a fast or what is it called, intermittent fasting, whatever language you speak for it,
Mm-hmm.
and you're doing a fast where the goal is to not consume anything because the goal is to not start your digestive tract. We go over really interesting, intense, but very effective method in my detox program. But one thing I will say is like so in Ramadan you can consume something during sahur, the dark hours before the sun comes up. So the goal is to try to take those herbs in a tea or tincture form. Preferably glycerin. Most tinctures are made of alcohol. If you're trying to avoid alcohol for whatever reason, do glycerin-based tinctures. And one company I think is pretty cool is Cedar Bear. Y'all can look them up because they're glycerin-based and organic. And take those in the morning during your hydration. Another thing I want to say is, while we're on the topic, before I forget, herbs are plants as well. So a lemon lime. This is what I have, and I start my morning off every morning. This is so good for hydration. There's basils in here. Personally, for me, you can do mint, whatever, but do citrus water warm with a sprinkle of Celtic sea salt. Celtic sea salt is the best salt. I actually sell Celtic sea salt because it's the best salt. All of the other salts, pink salts, red mint salts, they have a lot of what is it called? Harsh chemicals in them. I don't want to get too into it, but try to do Celtic
They
sea
coming
salt
to your
research.
class, girl. Don't worry. They gonna come to your
Try to do
class.
Celtic sea salt, but that's for hydration, and do it with the lemon and lime, and that will help flush your colon, and it's also really good for hormones, to help things get in your system, because sometimes we take what we need and eat what we need, but sometimes we're a little backed up, and that's why we need to do a more aggressive form to clean ourselves out so that we can actually absorb the nutrients we're taking. So that's my little 2 cents on that. Did I
Beautiful.
answer your question well, sis?
You answer
Okay,
my
because I
you
will get
answer
on
my question
that.
because sometimes we just do fast and the herbs and everything is
Mhm.
nourishing that actually supports the fast. So I definitely wanted to put that there for
Yes,
those who may need or may not know and need to know
yes,
how herbs play with
yes.
fasting, or should I say couple or
Mhm.
complement fasting.
Yeah, and hibiscus that I mentioned is very hydrating for you guys when you are fasting, because you want to make sure you're hydrated before you fast. So even if you're not doing I drink or consume or eat during dark hours, and you're going the whole whatever amount of days without doing anything, before you start it, drink the herbal tea without the sugar, because you need to lean yourself off sugar. You don't need to go from doing what you do and then suddenly fast. That's not good. You need to try not to do any sugar, cut all that out before you fast to prep yourself, and do the same thing after. Take a moment before you consume food to actually hydrate with fruit juices. H3O2 is what actually we absorb in our body more than H2O. So the most hydrating thing you can do for your body in general is to just drink homemade fresh juice out of a juicer, not the store-bought juice. So that's my 2 cents.
Shout out to my son who just brought me a juicer for my Savings Day gift. Shout out to my son Raheem. Thank you, because I'm about to use that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I generally ask this 3
Mm-hmm.
points that you okay, so a person that's listening to this podcast now, they have heard from Sister Nadia X, Black Majesty. 3 points that you can give a person that they can literally apply in their everyday life because they listen to you on this podcast as solutions to life in any area, however you want to give it. 3 points.
Praise be to Allah. Number 1, self-validate yourself. At the end of the day, no matter where you are, you need to love and respect yourself at any point you are. You don't need to be concerned about people's perspective of you, caught up in who you need to be, blah, 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 blah. You need to self-validate that you are enough in this moment and you're enough to change for the better to what you and your soul and what God calls you to, not necessarily what society. Number 2, because you self-validated and because you believe in yourself and respect yourself, invest in yourself. Do not be afraid to invest in yourself. That looks like time, energy, resources. Sometimes the best investment is tapping in with somebody else because they can hold you accountable. Because some of us, we have so much head knowledge. We know everything. Oh, I know that. I know that. I know that. Well, that's great, but have you done it yet?
Period.
Have you applied it yet? And no shade, that just means you have to acknowledge, I've been putting X, Y, and Z off. I know this, but I haven't applied it, and this doesn't reflect in my life. So what should you do? Invest in people who are doing it so you have some accountability. It doesn't matter how old, young, different they are, different ethnicity, race, religion. No, if they're doing the dang thing, tap in and do the dang thing with them, right? So don't be afraid to invest in yourself. Don't move out of poverty mindset. So number 3, and this one's just gonna be a physical thing that I really want y'all to start doing. Baby, change your salt, please. A lot of the salt that we use, the one with the little yellow dress lady, whatever, that is trash. That is poison. That is chemical, lab made. Throw that out today. Go order some Celtic sea salt. The second thing I would recommend is Redmond's real salt, not Himalayan salt for other reasons. But change out your salt. Literally, if you can just do that today, y'all, a lot of y'all will see such a difference in your health, cholesterol, blood sugar. And then start putting a pinch in a warm water with some type of citrus in the morning, and you will see a major difference in skin and etc. It's a good detox. So those are my top 3s.
I'm taking all yours and applying. I'm taking all these 3 points and applying. Okay, so how can they find you, Sister Nadia, on your social media? How can they find you?
Yes, so I'm Black Majesty on all platforms. My tag down here, Nadia X Black Majesty, is the exact same way on Facebook. But on all platforms, it's Black Majesty, BLACK, the color black. Then Majesty, MAJESTEA. So it's a play on words. It's not Majesty, MAJESTY. It's T at the end. So Black Majesty, BLACKMAJESTEA. And I'm on all platforms. Same with my email at gmail.com. And .com, my website, where you can order literally 90% of everything we talked about on my website, and tap into the detox classes on my website. We still are doing a sale for the next 24 hours at 50% off to join the detox. So if you want to tap in, period.
Period. Hey, let's do that. And then, so I know we have the class that's coming up, but what's next for you? Like, what's your next major thing?
Yeah, so I used to do pop-ups around the city. I just dropped my March schedule. One thing about Nadia, y'all can find me everywhere. Y'all can find me online. I be at all the local stuff. We're going to be in New York doing an event at the end of the month, inshallah. This one's going to be, the whole goal is to shine light on performing artists. So I do a lot of pop-ups. Every month I do a tea party, and it's a different theme, a different vibe. And the goal is always to put local creatives and artists and entrepreneurs, a spotlight on them. So I try to collaborate all across the city. We did Connecticut not too long ago with some sisters and brothers out there. And so I'm always trying to do pop-ups. So if you're ever interested in collaborating and doing a pop-up, that is so my vibe. The goal is always to try to help other people, put a spotlight on them, and help income, because income is how we actually get things done. So yeah, I will be at the Vegan Fest here in Memphis. I'm always at the farmers market here in Memphis on Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And I always do a pop-up every month locally or out of state. But we'll be in New York on March 30th, doing an event there. And yeah, I'll be doing some more stuff. But my goal is to focus on my detox more than anything. So y'all make sure y'all pop out for me on March. I go to my Instagram and you'll see all the things we have coming up for this month and next month.
Absolutely. And one of the things, I just want to put this in your universe, in your spirit, okay? And for you to consider, we'll talk about it later. At another date and time, I have a retreat that's coming up, mother, daughter, father, son. I would love to have you there. Okay. So let's consider that, let's see how that can work. That I think that will definitely help with building relationships, right?
I love that. I love that. That's the one in Florida.
Yeah, it's in Florida. It's
yeah. That's funny because that popped up on my page the other day, and I was like, okay, Florida.
Yes. So I love that. Let's see how we can make that go right.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I'm gonna pull you in the back as I do my announcements, y'all. As I do my announcements, y'all stay on and listen. Okay. And then, Sister Nadia, I'm gonna give you some further information on how we're gonna move forward after this. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Thank y'all. Y'all have a blessed day. Tap in.
All right. Peace. Love you. All right, y'all heard it. Come on now, Black Majesty. That sister, know she came on, and when I tell you she was just as bright as her skin, she was glowing just as her skin was glowing. She was just putting it out there. So I hope y'all are able to bask in the light. And I just want to thank you all so very much for just tapping in. And one of the things that she really, really talked about that I definitely want to encourage. I want to encourage you all to support her, right? Help go through her programs, go through her process, buy her products, right? And as she talked about detoxing is very, very important to me and for me as well. I want to definitely just, continue to push this candy cleanse. Y'all listen. It has 7 powerful herbs, and it's helping to help us to focus on spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and ultimately physically. Okay, so you can go to my website at www.repairoftheblackfamily and get your tea. All right, it actually is on sale right now. And with that being said, Sister Nadia and Brother David, we are now in the thrust of things. It's full-fledged. We out here, it's growing. We have over 30 people in our program, and it's growing even more. Leadership and development, right? We need more leaders, not more followers, y'all. It's a lot of followers out here, but how do we produce and create more leaders, starting with being the leader in your life, the leader in your family? Every business needs leaders, right? Leaders in your community. And our program is helping to have more viable leaders, bringing forth your fullest potential so that you can actually expand in every area of life. So we're going to drop it in the chat, in the comments, and you can go to the link in my bio on social media and book a one-on-one consultation with Sister Nadia to see how this leadership and development program can help you in your process. That's all about investing in yourself. And last but not least, come on, y'all. We just talked about this, building relationships. As my guest talked, as I've said certain things, we understand the value of relationships, right? We're having a mother, daughter, father, son retreat in Orlando, Florida. You do not have to come with your mother. You do not have to come with a daughter, or you don't have to come with your father or come with your son. That's the ideal scene. However, you are welcome to come to this relationship retreat as a single person, as a married person, couples. It doesn't matter. Come and let us help you build relationships. August 2nd through the 5th, we're now taking deposits. We also are going to put the link in the comment section so that you can have a one-on-one consultation with Sister Nadia and Brother David. And this is not on a flyer that's here, but I want to say this, as we look at the repair of the Black family, the family unit is so important. And Brother David and Sister Nadia, we are celebrating our 25th year anniversary being married, right? Being happily married for 25 years. And we are hosting a 2 to 3 day weekend here in Florida, where we're inviting you to come with us as we are going to renew our vows. And if you support Sister Nadia, if you're a family, friend, or a supporter of the Repair of the Black Family, we definitely want you to come and celebrate with us a 3-day weekend in Florida in the month of May. And with that being said, I'll leave you with this. John C. Maxwell said, "You cannot give what you have not developed." We're living in a time where we must develop ourselves. And I want to thank you for tapping into this podcast with Sister Nadia and the Repair of the Black Family for your own personal development. All right. So with that being said, y'all, we're going to get out of here. Thank y'all so much for tapping in, and may God continue to bless you.